Oops. Hey, Yash, while you get ready, maybe I'll take care of that other piece for you.
Yeah, actually, I just started the live stream.
Oh, nice. Okay. Very good.
Okay. Okay, so we are live now, and we can start. So, hey everyone, today is 20 March 2024, and I welcome you all to the Meshery development meeting. In this meeting, we talk about so many stuffs related to Meshery, bugs, fixes, features, and some announcements from the Meshery contributors, committee members, and maintainers. So for those who are new to today's meeting, Meshery is a CNCF sandbox project which allows you to manage your uh, multi-cluster infrastructure. Also helps you to uh, many things in the cloud native infrastructure collaboratively. So yeah, before getting started, I will also encourage you and ask you guys to add your name in the attendees list in the meeting minutes. I will share the name in the chat. And also encourage you guys to open your mic and introduce yourself so that we can like connect more batterly. So let me start from me. So I'm Yash Sharma, your today's host. I'm contributing here since about 12 months, and it was very good experience for myself. So yeah, that's all from my introduction. So anybody would like to go next and would like to introduce themselves? It can be like what's your name is and what you like and how you came about to know about the Mystery Development Meeting.
Hello.
Yes, I.
Hello everyone. My name is Sahil. I am a web developer currently pursuing bachelor's in computer engineering. My tech stack includes React, JS, Python, Node.js. This is my first time joining the meeting. I am enthusiastic in contributing to open source. Looking forward to make valuable contributions in nearby projects.
Hey, that's awesome. Thank you, Sahil. Uh, Anybody else like to go and introduce? Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone says when you come in. Oh,
Pankaj does. No, Pankaj, do you mind introducing one more time so everyone can get to know you?
Yes, yes, of course I can. Uh, Hello, hello everyone.
Hello.
I'm Pankaj from India. I've completed my college education in previous year, and as of now, I'm working in a company named Resolute Private Limited in Mumbai, which is based in Mumbai, and I'm looking for contributing in open source. That's why I'm here. That's all. Thank you, guys.
Pankaj, that's great, man. Pankaj, do you have a particular technological focus by chance?
Yeah, I know. As of now, I know JavaScript and Node.js, Next.js, and yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, very good.
that's it.
Yep. There's a fair bit of Next.js that floats around the projects. Nice. Oh, nice. All right, we're gonna make Chris suffer as well. He's gonna do it to himself, so that's great. All right.
Hey, yeah, sorry, I couldn't find the mute button. Yeah, so I'm Chris Carrier. Just kind of discovered Meshery and joined the project like last week. I've been working in software for almost 20 years now. I've done many different things over that time, but recently been doing a lot of kind of cloud architecture, Kubernetes, containerizing, working with teams to get their like DevOps flows working a little more smoothly. Been working as a kind of consultant the past several years, and I'm just between projects right now, so have some time to put towards interesting projects. And this one looks like it's got a lot of cool stuff going on. So happy to be here.
Chris, I couldn't tell if that last piece that last piece was coerced or not. It's like, well, and this project looks like it's, got some interesting things going on.
Interesting things, yeah. I'm still very much learning, so I'll keep the terms broad for now.
Yeah. Nice.
Incredibly welcoming community. I think the organization is super impressive.
And yeah, boy, there's a lot of, well, yeah, there's a lot that goes into that. Or you get to imagine, there's a lot of folks here who've just been paying it forward, I would say, for a long time. And at first blush, I don't think it necessarily strikes everyone that part of paying it forward is sort of right at the same time, like paying it back, or like there's a lot to be learned in sharing. There's a lot to be, anyway, there's a big old appetite for the vision of Meshery as a project. There's a lot of technologies that float around here, probably too many. But there's, I don't know, in order to accomplish that larger vision, it takes a lot of folks. One of the things, Chris, a couple of things you might consider are potentially interesting to you. One is like the visual and collaborative way in which Meshery offers, that experience for managing infrastructure might, well, I would be curious to know if it was ever of value as you're engaging with clients, as you're trying to be on the same page with them and explain stuff to them, and you've got, both mice are there and you're explaining things, and to the extent that it's something of a learning tool in that regard, or at least a great collaboration tool to be on the same page, to communicate better. There's one thought. The second thought is the Meshery is on a path right now to potentially being, or an instance of it being hosted as the CNCF's playground, or like the CNCF as an organization. It's got a couple of hundred projects at this point. I think it just passed the 200 line, and there are, I don't know, there's a handful of tools that do broad integrations like Meshery. At the moment, I can really only think of one other, but perhaps there's a couple of others. Anyway, Meshery is uniquely positioned to, well, solve some problems for the CNCF in general. A lot of times people will talk about the CNCF landscape. If you were to visit l.cncf.io, you've probably seen it before, but it's just this big fat chart of all the projects, and they're bucketized and categorized into various, and it's not all projects have a demo system. So for users that come by, and so by the way, so I'm saying this towards Chris, but sort of for all of the rest of us as well. This is one of the active initiatives that are going on, is trying to prepare Meshery to be that playground, to work through some bugs that it has. But for users that go to explore the projects, they don't necessarily, you can't necessarily go to each individual project and they don't necessarily have a playground. They don't necessarily have a demo system. So it takes some amount of time investment to go explore each of those projects and figure out, hey, of these in the landscape, which ones do I need? Which ones am I going to, much less do you necessarily have a system where you would go to a project's playground, explore it, but then also explore it in context of one or two other projects that integrate with it, and that one that they play off of one another, and you use them in combination. Hopefully this is one of the many challenges or pain points that Meshery will solve for people. In the same way that this tool might be helpful as you engage with clients, or you just engage with people in general, and exchange ideas and exchange an understanding of how the infrastructure is being configured and managed, that there is a collection of, well, CNCF ambassadors, or just nerds, proponents of the various technologies that are within the CNCF. And they do lots of teaching and explaining and share. They're developer advocates in some sense, or a lot of more. And this is all in the same vein. This is a great platform for them to explain their projects and explain their tech. So there's some of the first groups that we're targeting for as people to come through and participate in this, well, what's basically a beta program for getting that potential CNCF playground up. So good.
Yeah,
So
that
anyway,
makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
so good. Nice to have Chris. Nice to have Pankaj. Sahil is here. Is there anyone else that's new here that hasn't gotten a chance to say hi, like Monique, Sakaria, and Rui Khan? You guys and gals said hi.
Hey guys, this is Monik Sakaria. I'm a front-end developer and I'm actually rejoining this meeting, so I'm kind of old.
Old news. Never mind. Yeah, great. Good. Rui.
Yes, sir.
All righty, there you are.
Yeah.
Hey, where are you calling in from?
I'm from India.
Oh, very good. Whereabouts?
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, which north, south, east, west, Chennai, Bangalore, Mumbai,
I'm from
Pune.
Maharashtra.
Oh, nice. All right. Very good.
Yeah.
Good deal. And I think you just got done introducing in Slack a little bit ago, I think, which was nice. So folks can get to know you a little bit more.
Mm.
Good.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for joining. Good. Hey,
Thank you.
I'm kind of, yeah. At this point, I think I'm rambling. I need to shut up and let some other people go. So, but yeah, EJ is back with us. Deepak is here. Deepak's been publishing into the.
So sorry to interrupt. Are you assigning a task?
Oh, say it again.
Are you assigning the tasks?
Not a, yeah. Yep. There's almost always a call for volunteers on each of these meetings. Like yeah. If you have your hand raised, we will put something into it. I am sure.
Okay, sir.
You have a front end focus, is that if I recall?
Yes, sir. Both. Full stack.
Oh, nice. All right. We'll load you up then. Okay. Good. And then anyway, Deepak, you might want to say a word real fast because you've been doing one of the activities that you've been doing is publishing designs into the catalog. It's something you might want to tell people about.
Yeah. I was publishing some of the designs into the catalog, like different categories like observability, scaling, and some of the things like traffic management. Yeah, and I've been working on the vulnerabilities part also. I mean, yeah, that is the thing.
Yeah, it's really helpful.
Vulnerabilities of Meshery using a Snake or a Sonar Cloud. I've been watching some quality gate issues also. I've been discussing with the Sheikh and Sheikh and Mario about vulnerabilities in the Meshery to fix them. And yes, that's what I'm doing.
Nice. Very good. All right. Yash, you cut us off at any moment.
Sure. Okay, so thank you everyone. Let's get started. If anyone else left and not able to introduce, you are very welcome to introduce yourself in the chat and we will talk here also. So let's start with our agenda items. So first we have agenda items from the Samuel. Samuel, would you like to share or talk about the issue or the PR that you have mentioned over here? Samuel with us?
Yeah, I'm not sure that Samuel's on.
Okay. So we'll skip this and we'll notify him about the talk that we are going to have about this issue. Let's jump to Joseph. Joseph, would you like to share about the fixed blocking
Yeah,
nature
sure.
of the registration? Okay.
So, like it is a small fix wherein so
So as you all might be aware that Meshery has a like concept of like models and components and relationships and everything. So when the server boots up, it goes to the /server/mesh model directory file system location and starts to like register all of the models listed inside the local Meshery database. So, but there was like a recent issue happening wherein if one of the models got like failed to register, so all of the models like were stuck and the registration logic was like stuck inside the for loop and it was like not progressing further. So some of the models or relationships like we were missing inside the registry. So this PR ensures like if the registration logic fails for one of the model, we log an error, we emit an error and but like continue forward and register rest of the models components and relationships.
Okay, I think was there we are getting like your voice is getting cut off. Okay, so is there any review for Jose? Any question that you want to ask?
Yeah, I've got a couple. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to hear us, but who's there? Your bandwidth is. Josh, since you have host, oh, I have host. Oh, good. Well, so hey, a little bit of context about the task that Uzair was just working on. There's such a concept in Meshery as, well, as a registry, which is to say that Meshery manages many different types of infrastructure. And it models out that infrastructure in very specific ways. And it uses custom resource. Well, if the infrastructure is running in Kubernetes, it uses custom resource definitions, or it uses specifications of the infrastructure to model that infrastructure and keep track of it. And so each time that Meshery boots, it will import, I guess, I don't know if it's about a couple hundred or so integrations or a couple hundred or so models. Meshery will import each of these models. Each model describes an integration, describes a piece of technology. And when Meshery imports that model, it imports it into just an internal database, a registry. It keeps track of a bunch of different details about the model. Sometimes when you run Meshery, you might install a Meshery adapter. The adapters, when they talk to Meshery server, they register models as well, because the adapters go deep on a particular technology that Meshery supports. They go deep on a particular integration. So each adapter, when it registers with Meshery server, registers any number of models. And when when a user tells Meshery to manage that particular technology that is under the control of an adapter, boy, we should really have like a session on the registry and how all this stuff works. Anyway, the point of what I was just trying to say is that Meshery needs to understand who registered a particular model. So if you have the Meshery Istio adapter, the adapter registers all these Istio specific properties and models and components and relationships. If someone wants to use Meshery then to manage Istio, Meshery will refer back to the adapter, pass along the user's request to deploy an Istio system or to reconfigure an existing Istio control plane. And it will refer back to whoever registered those models. And in that case, it would be the Meshery Istio adapter, the host that registered those models. That way, the Meshery Istio adapter can go off and do the thing that it needs to do. So anyway, there's a lot of concepts to cover. I was just trying to fill in the blanks until Uzair's bandwidth is back. Uzair, are you back?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, do you want to, so as you review that one more time, a question for you. So, occasionally when Meshery starts up and it's registering these models, it might run into an issue where the model is ill-described or has is a faulty model um, and so you're just saying, hey, there's a bug fix or an enhancement to, itemize each of those uh, to keep a ledger or a history of all of the things that have gone into the registry. By the way, if you're in Meshery UI, you can just visit the registry. I have a hard time not explaining this stuff. Just keep wanting to explain it. My question to you, Uzair, is um, are we sending events to the UI in the event of
No. So the PR only ensured like we emit proper logs in the server itself, and we continue to register other models. The proper eventing and the summary in case of like failure or summary of like number of models registered, like the thing that we're showing inside Meshery UI registry browser. So that eventing is not part of that PR. So that is being handled by one of the other contributor. He might have an agenda item too, but that PR, my PR only concerned about like fixing the bug wherein we don't like stuck on that error, but continue for other model, continue registration for other models. But yeah, having that like eventing wherein we notify user like this particular model failed, that would be nice.
Got you. Okay, very good. Do we have an open issue to track that?
Yeah, I think we have that.
Okay, and so we wouldn't necessarily want to send an event for every single failure, but just a summary.
A single event where it captures like all of the models that failed.
Nice. Good. Hey, recently Sudhanshu was asking whether or not this issue here was fixed, and it's not, Sudhanshu. So Sudhanshu, is this you that's going to work on ensuring that this takes up the full page? Right.
Okay.
Nice. Okay, thank you. You might take a look at this scroll bar as well while you're in there, if you don't mind. I don't know if you can do much about it, but good. Okay, well, hey, this is some of you may not have spent time in this area under settings, registry. But if you want to know what a given Meshery instance is capable of, like what type of infrastructure it's knowledgeable of, and this is one way of understanding that is visiting this registry here. Meshery currently ingests or generates many models and many components from a couple of different repositories. One of those most notably is Artifact Hub. We're going to talk about Artifact Hub more on the call today. But when those Helm charts from Artifact Hub, those that have custom resources, those custom resources get reformatted into a Meshery model and then ultimately get imported. Good. Any comments or questions before we go to the next topic? We'll probably come back to Artifact Hub and the registry one more time. Oh, geez. Yeah, it's the next topic. So.
Okay, thank you, Zach. And thank you, Lee, for explaining that out. Okay, Chris, would you like to go ahead and share about the expand Meshery's integration with Artifact Hub?
Sure, yeah. So I documented on that ticket the action steps as I see them right now, and hearing from the Artifact Hub team. So my understanding right now, the sort of to-dos or questions, and it looks like we've already maybe gotten some answers on this, but there's kind of a few questions out there. We basically need to define a few different metadata files. We need a repository ID from the Artifact Hub dashboard. But maybe the bigger question is around how designs are actually sort of stored and where they're stored. Basically, it need to make it easy to integrate with Artifact Hub. It needs to follow this sort of flexible folder structure, and then each package needs ideally a README and a metadata file defining things about the package. So again, yeah, I documented those questions on the ticket. I don't know if we want to go into the answers for those in this call or.
Yeah, or at least a few, or at least make a dent on them and see what we could. So, I think some of you guys have context for what we're attempting to do here. If any of you go visit artifacthub.io, you'll notice that if you scroll down the front page, eventually Artifact Hub will say, here's all the different kinds of artifacts, different types of artifacts that get deposited inside of Artifact Hub. Helm charts, sure. And then a list of about 9 more-ish. And so what Chris is trying to ensure that happens is that Meshery designs become one of those sort of natively supported artifact types or artifact kinds. If you scroll down just a little bit more, yeah, there's a list here, but this list is missing the Meshery logo. So that's what Chris is trying to work through. And what he was just saying is that in order for so Artifact Hub has this problem of now trying to integrate with a lot of things, and Meshery and the people that work on it know that trying to integrate with a lot of things is a challenge to keep up with. And so what it sounds like what this team has done is said, hey, if you'd like to have your artifact recognized as like a natively supported kind, then please please ensure that you need to provide a set of documentation, or you need to tell us what your repo folder structure is, and tell us more about the kind of artifact that you have, itemize it for us. Here's a format for that. And so as Chris is working through that, well, he just asked a couple of questions. He just asked, is there a repository for where there are some designs deposited currently? Another thing he said was, it sounded like we need to get was it a repo ID? Like
repo ID.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that, Chris, do you know, does that occur, the repo ID, that's something that that comes from Artifact Hub itself? So
that's correct. Yeah. It should be available in it says control panel when we create the repository.
Oh, I see. So just to help me, I'm going to think aloud with you, if you don't mind, and others here. So if we take a look at, just as an example, like something like the Kyverno policies. So Kyverno is a security-centric tool that people use to help provide access control, or to help enforce certain policies in their cluster, and they describe them in YAML. And the project itself probably has any number of policies sort of out of the box, but you're also encouraged to write your own policies. And so there'll be any number of repositories littered with Kyverno policies, wherever those might be. And I think my thinking of this maybe hasn't been correct. I'm trying to restructure how I understand this. So, like, my understanding is, or the goal here was like, hey, there are any number of people who are going to be creating Meshery designs, and they're able to keep those designs in their user account. They're also able to do what Deepak is doing and publish those into the public catalog for everyone else to enjoy and use and clone and that's nice that Meshery has such a catalog, such an artifact hub, Meshery artifact hub, if you will, or such a but it'd be nice if Meshery's designs went out to play with the rest of the artifacts here. Not that Artifact Hub is the sole, the sole place that everyone goes for, but it's a popular spot. So it's not just this project, the Meshery project, that will be producing designs and helping publish, hopefully high quality design patterns that people can reuse. But it's any number of hundreds and thousands of others that would be creating designs, maybe keeping them in their user account, exporting them from the system, checking them into their source code control systems. And so if people run their infrastructure in part based on Meshery designs, because they run their infrastructure in part based on Kyverno policies. Here's the policies that we use. Oh, we also use OPA, and so we have a couple of OPA policies, and maybe that environment uses, Helm charts as well. And so they have some, and so if they use, the part that's a little bit confusing to me is like, why the project is asking for a repository of designs, because it's just, hopefully they're asking just as an example and not because it isn't. Hopefully at some point we're just a very small producer of Meshery designs, but it's really everyone else that's producing them and publishing them.
My interpretation is that they're looking for an example, basically that demonstrates like the folder structure that maybe Meshery would expect, and some of the metadata that Meshery would expect to be defined on a per design basis. Things like the README. I feel like they're looking for just an example to start integrating against. Because they even said it's okay if it's not perfect right now. So that tells me it's like something maybe just to integrate against for now.
Well, in this case, I think of this objective, it's, Uzair, you might have some comments, or Abid or others, but it's probably relatively straightforward, because a Meshery design at the moment is just represented as a single YAML file. So that makes it a little easier. There isn't necessarily a folder structure to accompany that. There are a number of different repositories that have sample designs in them. I wonder if it would seem like we should either reuse Meshery, or maybe Meshery schemas. I wonder if that team doesn't also desire to see a schema for Meshery designs. To the extent that they do, maybe Meshery schemas is a good repo. I'll be honest.
You're talking about a schema. You're talking about a schema for the YAML files themselves.
Yeah, this JSON schema that describes how a design file is structured, and that schema is published under a repo of Meshery schemas. It's undergoing. There's an open pull request actually that significantly enhances that structure. So it's a timely discussion. It would seem like we might want to publish a few examples, like the example that we would want to point to for designs perhaps would be in this repo, in part because this repo is a little less active. It's a little more purposeful in terms of the changes that happen in it. So maybe, boy, I have to, I'm not usually this confused, or at least I don't remember being. Like one of the questions that I have is, are we making, this is going to sound silly because I think I'm the one that suggested this, but like, are we making the right ask? Is it Meshery designs that we should be asking them to recognize as an artifact kind? Or is it's not, or is it something like Meshery models? Because these models, how it is that people represent the specifics of their infrastructure that gets changed and versioned over time. Meshery is set up as an extensible platform, so we expect that people will be able to, they're able to create their own models and their own components with their own properties and like specify all that, export those models. Maybe, yeah.
I was going to ask him, and as a newbie here, like, what is the line between a model and a design, both from a sort of technical and maybe sort of like spiritual point of view?
Yeah. That's a good. Anybody else want to answer that one? That's such a great question. Abid, you're quiet.
Basically, a model contains the definitions for a components or this things that we use, and in a design, those components are declared. So a design contains the declarations for those component definitions that are inside packaged inside the models. So a design can be directly deployed, or like a model can't be directly deployed at a component.
Yeah. Hey, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So if I know Ritik has some of this mocked up in Figma, or if you just demoed on in Playground. Chris is not the only one on the call that has this question, by the way. I mean, so it's a very good time spent. So is somebody on mute? I wonder. Abid, I'm asking, can you give a demo inside the Playground? Or Yash or Ritik or
Yeah, I thought Ritik was sharing their stuff.
I think he's just trying to share and then have somebody else speak to it, I suspect.
Yeah.
Which means
I have Playground up, so okay, so if you see, like, this is a components tab, and here we list these all the top level system that you see, like these all are categories, and within categories we have models. So if, for example, like orchestration and management is a category, and inside this all the models that are related to orchestration and management of an infrastructure or application, all of the models are defined inside it. So you will find like Kubernetes, the cluster operator, AWS managed service of Kubernetes, and all other stuff. So for example, if I take Kubernetes, because it is a like well-known thing. So this Kubernetes is a model. So and inside, like what are the things, what are the resources Kubernetes has? So it has like API services binding, like pods, deployments, and everything. So this model contains like these are the components, and this is the model. So you can assume like model as a unit of packaging, where it and the model brings with it all of the definitions, uh, all of the content which can be configured and which can be like deployed on the infrastructure. So these are the like deployment entities, and model is just a way of packaging everything. So with model, you will also find like relationships, policies, and all other stuff. So if I So this is basically the same thing that Lee was sharing previously. So the hierarchy that we have for models is like uh, this one, like model is a categories. This is the top that we have, like models. Models is a like a packaging unit, and it contains like components, relationships, and components are the main thing that you can configure. And once you configure a component, so I have this binding component. So now if you see and the design is a bunch of components. So design constitutes one or many components. So if I like export the design, it will have like a binding as a component. So the structure of the design looks like this. it has like normal the name of the file and everything. So so right now I had like only one component name binding of type binding. So it is the design file has like only one thing. But as soon as we add like other components, pod or pod or any other component, like the design file would contain one or multiple components, and it is not restricted to like you can have design file which has components relating to only one model or one category. So a design can have a components belonging to different category, different models, different uh, subcategories. So hopefully like this clears this makes a distinction between models and design, Chris, and for others.
Yeah, that was very helpful. I guess I'm wondering, does it make sense to talk about deploying a model, or does a model only get deployed within a design?
So model doesn't get deployed. Design is the only thing that gets deployed.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. That helped a lot.
And Lee, like to your previous question of like continuing your line of thought. So uh, we can list model as a kind, but because like we have been like previously as well discussing, like model will contain a profile or a pattern where the pattern will contain the best practices for how to use that model. So what we can do is we can still have model as a kind, but within that we will shape patterns which will help user or which will describe like how to best use the model. So like this similar kind of thing, like instead of having only design, we can have kind model plus pattern. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm probably, with respect to the initiative that Chris is stewarding, I'm probably only complicating it and unnecessarily thinking too far ahead. From what Chris was just describing, it sounded like the Artifact Hub team was quite flexible and perfectly willing to just get started. And it would seem like a real success if we were able to have Meshery Designs as a recognized artifact inside of Artifact Hub. And that, to your point, Uzair, as time progresses, if it became advantageous to also have Artifact Hub recognize Meshery models as a first-class citizen, that either we would have a second listing. I don't think I see any of the other projects with a second listing. Or we would say one supplants the next. It might be that models may also contain designs, or we might refactor that integration, but it wouldn't be for a while, and it probably doesn't make sense to hold up.
Yeah.
There's if you would humor me real fast, if we go back to artifacthub.io, does anyone see of the technologies listed? So there it says Tecton tasks and pipelines, OPA and the OPA and gatekeeper policies, I think it's probably just the same policy format, whether you're using OPA or you're using gatekeeper, they both use the same Rego-based policy. But Helm charts and plugins makes me think that there's hope for like Meshery designs and models. But that's in part based on my ignorance as to how distinct a Tecton task and a pipeline is. Those are no doubt two highly related but distinct concepts within Tecton. A pipeline, I would assume a pipeline has any number of tasks, or any number of tasks use different pipelines, whatever the distinction is. The question is, do they represent both of those in the same structure? Here's probably the answer is probably in part what Chris was just saying is like, hey, so what these guys are looking for in part is a repository structure, and it's fairly flexible, but within that repo, perhaps you would find a folder for designs, and perhaps you'd find a folder for models. And so you could have Meshery designs and Meshery models. And again, I'm taking a wild guess, but But
just looking at like their document, the artifact hub document, I mean, that does seem to follow, like I see Hackathon pipelines and tasks defined as different repositories, but they seem closely related. The directory structure they require is totally flexible, really doesn't prescribe anything at all. It's mostly down to the metadata files. So that's probably the really important part, is to I don't know, outline what whether it's starting with a design or design and models, like what is the metadata required for that.
this is great. Hey, I think we're going to be successful fairly quickly. I think we might be successful, or Chris in this case, they would be successful even if that revision of the design schema that I was just referring to with the open pull request, even if that took a little while. My hunch is that just like Chris was just saying, that if we fill in the Chris, the metadata file that's of the artifact hub format, where we're just sort of filling in the form, so to speak, the description of that unto its own with an example design is probably enough for them to support the Meshery design, for them to give users, like if you were to go click, Yash, are you sharing? If you were to click on any of the artifacts in here, some of these probably have a better experience than others. So this is a Helm chart. So if you click on this one, or any of, just click on one. So this is a Helm chart. And within here, since their Helm charts are well understood, if as you scroll down the page, they may show you some of the internals, like, oh, here's the spec, the config, the values.yaml, and here's but for others, other types or other kinds of artifacts, the experience may not be as robust. And my sense of it is that that's something that we could work on over time. That even if our listing is very, very simple to start with.
Yeah, it did sound to me like all they needed to get started was a repo with at least one design with the associated metadata, and then they were asking about more like information about the actual schemas and things like that. But that did sound like maybe more of a follow-on for deeper integration. I think just to your point of they could maybe show the YAML file, or have a better user experience maybe.
Well, assuming there aren't more questions, and as we wrap this, I think what Chris is owed, well, at least an example, a repo with a couple of sample designs. Chris, it sounds like you might be able to take the metadata.yaml that they have, and man, if I just imagining myself in your shoes, like you'd be able to take a stab at trying to fill in a few of the things that are within there, but then be seeking some support for filling in the rest.
Yeah, I can discover what I can find, and then reach out for anything I have questions on.
Yeah, Chris, we're by the way, as you go through this, you're in it's your lucky day. You're in a great position to point out where Meshery documentation falls short. It does. And the question that you just asked is such a perfect, really a straightforward answer, is like, design is a document that can contain any number of components. And those components can relate to one another. The design is deployable. The components you're able to generate as many of those as you want and fill in their properties or whatever. But like, does the documentation get to that quickly and summarize that well? I don't know that it does. We just talked about the registry as a seemingly fairly important concept in Meshery, like, how Meshery knows how to handle any of this infrastructure. And yet I think there's just one page that describes it and not much else. And so what I'm encouraging you to do is be critical, if you would. And
sure, yeah, I'm happy to contribute on the documentation side as I get more familiar.
Yeah. Yash.
Thank you, Krish.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so let's considering that Vipul is not here with us right now, so I will be jumping to the my topic in the definition screen. I have to share the definition screen. Okay. So I recently updated the model generator to make sure that as we were already talking about that we fetch integrations from different places and generate them in the Meshery's file system. We also fetch Meshery's core components that Meshery owns. And for them, you can go to the Meshery schemas wrapper and you can find them in the definition section. These are the component for models that Meshery owns, and inside those models you can find a version and the components, what kind of those components are. These are the component definitions. If you want to know what definitions mean and what declaration means and what is the difference between them, there is already a documentation written in that docs.meshery.io. So I will be sharing that, or you can search in the docs.meshery.io, which will clarify what definition and declaration means. So currently these are the definitions. And so my update in the generator is the main kind of an engine which takes all those integration and generates and put them in the Meshery's file system. So generator make my update will make sure that generator is getting those Meshery models, or that the models that Meshery owns from the Meshery schemas. And yeah, that's the update in this. Yeah. So if there is any question, please ask. So after this, like there are a few more updates that needs to be done. As we have made few updates, this function is not required, and this was a quick fix because there was an issue coming in the mesh map because of this. We will be removing this most of the code, and this issue will be fixed in the mesh map. So, yeah, that's all from my side. So I will be jumping into the next topic if there is no other question. Victoria, would you like to share about the update on cloud leaderboard design?
Yes. Okay, so I made some updates to the leaderboard, based on the feedback that I've received so far. Ritik shared the table component with me, so I just updated the table to look like what we already have. So during the call yesterday, I know they talked about the navigation bar, so that is updated too. And I've also on the catalogs page, I've added this card that users can click to view the leaderboard. So I'd like feedback on this specifically, if this is a good place to add this, or if there's another suggestion.
Great. Like who's there or someone else? Do you guys want to, or Victoria, do you just want to introduce this topic to people
Okay, yeah.
a little bit?
Sorry, I should have done that. For context, when you sign up to Meshery Cloud, there are a number of things you can do. When you create a design, you can publish your designs to the catalog. Then other users can use your design, can download the design, view the design, clone it for their use, and share it. So those metrics is what we track and present them in a leaderboard. So on the leaderboard, you can check your ranking to know the number of people that have viewed your design or number of designs they have published. Then you can filter by organization, by date range as well. So that's basically the purpose of the leaderboard.
Yep. So, hey guys. Any thoughts?
Like in the leaderboard, can we show the badges also that the users can get? Because some of them are closely related to the catalog, like designs published, we give some badges for that and for that kind of stuff.
Besides the username, the badges that they
Like
have, the number of badges that they have.
maybe the number of badges or just like a preview of some of them, like maybe first 3 or something like that.
That makes sense.
Yeah, also Victoria, how are we calculating the ranking of users? Like, it's only based on the number of design published, or is there any other criteria?
By default, it will rank by designs published, but you can then sort. If you want it to rank by views or clones or deployments, then you can change that in the sort to by.
All right. Yeah, also if you scroll up a bit. Yeah, like instead of having like that card is fine for view your rank in the leaderboard, but like if we can show some section on this catalog design page, a small leaderboard, so in which we can just show the top 5 or top 10 user those have the maximum number of design published. So
Okay.
yeah,
So
just a small leaderboard. Yeah.
Okay.
Someplace on the lead
Maybe
catalog.
underneath beneath the graph, because there's supposed to be a graph here. I don't know. Okay, I'll do that.
Like we can
So
have a section
preview.
below technology or somewhere there. Like just name and the
okay,
number
okay,
of
okay.
design published. Small leaderboard there.
Yeah, or Victoria, here's the live running catalog. And as we go to encourage users by providing them statistics of like how many times a particular item was viewed, how many times a particular design was deployed, how many times it was cloned, how many times it was downloaded. As we go to track these metrics and encourage people like Deepak with feedback of how popular his content is, that you're creating these a dedicated leaderboard so that you can go see, hey, what are the most popular designs? And Ritik was just saying, what are the most popular designs by views, downloads, clones, deployments, and what else are we tracking? Downloads, clones, views.
Deployments, shares.
Shares, okay.
Number of designs published.
Got you. By the way, we don't have the ability to share from this page. That might be an interesting action to have, is the ability to share. People can share socially, but to literally share with permissions, like to send someone. So yeah, so of that feedback, this particular chart, if it were rotated 90 degrees, turned horizontal, tightened up a little bit, that would give you half of the space over here for that chart that you're looking for. So you probably recall this conversation. So yeah, that's sort of what's expected. It is slightly confusing it's intriguing thought, but slightly confusing to have a leaderboard sort of intermixed with the designs themselves. You could, like every 20th, like have a little advertisement, if you will, for who's at the top of the leaderboard for most cloned designs. But in lieu of that, since there is room up here and there is prior art for showing statistics like this chart, create a chart up here if you would. This is already a slight bastardization of the designs. This call to action is already kind of weird. It's not totally weird. Like a lot of times you would see this at the very end of the list. But anyway, instead of adding to that weirdness, maybe.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I do think that it would be good if people simmer a bit on the various metrics that we were just saying that we were going to track: views, clones, number of times it was shared, number of times it was deployed. Like, are those the right metrics? Of those metrics, what should be the default metric for, like, hey, what of the synopsis leaderboard that you're going to provide as a chart? What metric should you use? And recognize that just like any recognition system, reward system, us humans are going to want to, if we care about it, we're going to want to go game it. And so what behavior, we have to be cautious with what behavior we want to encourage. Like, are we incidentally encouraging not so great behavior? Is a question for everybody to think about. By the way, some of you are familiar, by the way, Yash, if you visited badges.layer5.io, there is a recognition system in place right now. It's a recognition system for users and contributors to receive a badge. And Victoria has designed some of these badges, and Ritik has designed some, and some of you, and some of you designed this site. And this site lists out various badges that can be awarded to individuals as they have milestones, whether they're using the projects or they're contributing to the projects. Great. There's a list of them, but there's also, I think, a net new leaderboard. If you went to badges.layer5.io/leaderboard.
There is a button at the end.
Okay. So we kind of have the same. So this leaderboard is, I think, the metrics that are used here is for the discussion forum.
Discussion.
Yeah. For the discussion.
And so I just wanted to bring this up as a related concept to help ensure that we're getting things right, that we're encouraging behavior. Like, I don't even know on that board, I don't even know what the default metric is that we're sorting by. I would suggest that the most important metric is probably, well, maybe it's solutions accepted, like, hey, who's really helping people and getting them answers? It's also equally important who's asking questions. Vivek, we sometimes recognize people on this call as a discussion forum champion. I think we did last time, right? Okay.
Yep, we do on bi-weekly calls.
Sorry, hey, we're a little bit over time, but I just wanted to make sure that as we're creating a new leaderboard, we're sort of reflecting on that one and taking any learnings away.
Okay, so thank you, Victoria. Is there any more review for Victoria that she might consider? So we are on time, or I'd say we are over time. So I'll wait for 5 more seconds. If there is something urgent to be discussed, we will discuss that. But if not, we will wrap up the call. Okay, considering there is no urgent item for right now.
Wait, I just wanted to confirm real fast. Did someone on Chris, do you want to export a design and push that sample design into the schemas repo? Or would you just as well prefer one of the other contributors do that?
I'm happy to. I don't know if there's a particular design or if it matters, or just pick one from the.
Yeah, pick one from the or create one with a nice little Easter egg message in there.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I'll take a swing at that, and Yeah, did you make a PR to the schemas folder under its Meshery schemas?
Yeah, Meshery schemas, and maybe an artifact hub folder, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, I'll come up with something and then run it by everybody.
Awesome.
Okay. So, okay, considering there is no urgent item right now, it's nice meeting you everyone today. And before going or wrapping up the call, I will encourage you everyone who is new to today's call and want to get more about what we have heard us and what are the projects and how they can contribute or how they can involve or how they can use the Meshery and other projects. So I will encourage you to join tomorrow's newcomers meeting, which is specifically covers these kind of topics, and you will get an opportunity to connect with more people, and more managements and community managers and interns. So yeah. Also, there is KubeCon U is going on, so I will encourage you all guys to go and check out the playground, explore it, and share about your experience on Twitter and other platforms. We would love to see you. We would love to give you on day to it. And yeah, there's some great way to encourage you to. So thank you for joining today, everyone. We will see you next week, same time. And yeah, thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.